choose to love with freedom flies from my heart where the light keeps shining, and I choose to feel the whole world crying for the strength that we can rise above. I choose love.
Welcome. We are Grace Healing Ministries. This is Ina Marie Hale.
This is Larry Reynolds.
And this is, I believe, like part 4 or 5 of the video series that we're doing on Grace Healing Origins. The origins of understandings and the different visions that God rested into me. And as we shared before, there was much resistance in me of whether I was to share it fully. But that's been loosed and freed.
Yes.
It is cleared and gone. And I am sharing with you the beginning stages of all that God revealed and helped me understand what had been transpiring for so many years prior, and put wisdom to this understanding, not just experiential understanding, because I had experienced these things, could describe them to you, but I did not have full clarity of what was transpiring. So we've committed to pray with you first before we engage in each video, and even though this is a continuation video, we want to protect those of you that may enter in at this stage, so we do engage in prayer first. Yarve lachim alum chismaleatru boriri siheli yandro chamun turkiri version kubriama chamon riulioma karierene. Yarve le condoris michelian abun lulu caravaras mashandro koinen. Yahweh, God and Creator, we offer thanksgiving to know that your Spirit is within, bringing forth life. We submit fully before your presence, your holy protection, your divine grace. Yeshua, we invite you to establish a hedge of holy protection around each individual that is drawn to these videos. We know that you have called them forward to this time. We trust in you, praise you, and worship you, and welcome this holy opportunity as you protect them to receive only the words that you call for them in this journey, as we are embraced in the holy opportunity to reveal your glory, the awesome depth and wonder of your love. And this we praise you through your most blessed and holy name. Yahweh Elohim etuyim en Yeshua abun solekamunu koteri v'yadma. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. So in the previous video, we left off with the experience of the woman that was coming down the stairs after being received a prayer on the table, and then walking along the beach and encountering the story of what she was going through in her life, but how it was birthed originally 3 generations before her in a great-grandmother. So the great-grandmother being raped, so there was this spirit of generational rape there. And then there were 3 subsequent rapes. Again, generational rape preceded, which attracted unto her 3 additional rapes throughout her life.
Wow.
So we shared the importance of understanding the difference between how the law of attraction works and how it's not really being conveyed in the fullness of truth right now. The reality is what's attracting, what's being drawn forth is the spiritual nature of that which you carry within you. So if you are walking through ignorance and you don't know the nature of what's transpired generations before, you will attract into you situations of a spiritual nature that will reveal to you, this is what's going on. Bless and release it. Bless and release it.
Yes.
Not subject yourself to it.
Exactly.
Don't continue through suffering in the fact that because great-grandmother was raped, that you must experience rape. No. It is, if we were seeking God daily within our breath, we would know this communicated.
Again, it's that coming into that awareness of He that's
Personal,
within you.
yes.
Very personal, and she of wisdom of God within you will reveal that.
Exactly.
And if you just lay it low and you're going about your business, not even knowing who God is, what's going on, and you've had these generational things, you've heard it in stories of your family, and you don't touch them.
Right.
And you don't care. It's like an unawareness. It's like you're awakened now.
Yes.
And how, you're thinking, well, is this going to happen to me? Then the fear rises.
Right, and you release the fear.
You've got to just release that, and that's what part of Grace Healing is all about. So.
Right. And that's what comes about from this understanding. Because, again, there was more that we discussed. Because in the fact that she had been raped, she named herself what was called a trash can with a hairy lid. She felt like she was supposed to be the person that men just used for her whole life. So she became a vessel for men to dump their stuff into. She became sexually used and abused by many relationships. And these were things that were uncovered spiritually. Again, I want to protect the sanctity of that relationship. I will not provide any names or descriptions of locations because I've dealt with this with, I can honestly say that I've dealt with this with many people. However, this specific one was the one that made me go to God for the following weeks going, what are you showing me? This is amazing what you showed me. Because again, she came in unable to walk, support, or sustain her own weight or her body. Sits up on the table, wants to go for a walk on the beach, and does. Amazing. Then we get back to the house. We actually have a wonderful lunch together, sharing, talking. She's elated and excited, and all is great and wonderful. And I'll leave it right there because now is my turn throughout the week. I'm going through the whole week going, what are you showing me? Wow, what are you showing me? And I had to develop a practice awareness to let go of seeking the issue, seeking the study. I had to stop letting go of what am I looking for? And I had to seek God more deeply. I had to be willing to let go of wow, this event. I had to let go of wow, my lack of understanding. And I had to embrace God. I had to get to this place where I touch God. And it was like about 5 days later that I started gaining a sense of clarity in this awareness. And I started realizing that, again, this wasn't her as an individual. These were separate spiritual influences. These are separate spirits. And I was taken into an understanding, and I was reminded of things. Because many people describe things within their experience as, I received a vision.
Yes.
I was taken into a vision.
Yeah.
I wasn't experiencing it like that. I was experiencing it like memory. Oh. I was remembering a time with Yeshua.
Yeah.
I was remembering a time of instruction. I was remembering a time of holding God's knowledge in me, not possessively, but it was just flowing through me. I knew it before we had become human. And it was not just me. I could see it present within every one of us. And we are each veiled differently to the levels of what we can remember. So again, we're calling it a visionary awareness. I saw it as a remembrance of what was given unto me. And if you do have a chance to review the book, A Covenant in Love, you will be taken through a meditation that I was remembered of when I was with Yeshua in the presence of his Spirit, and his Spirit drawing me forth into the cosmos and showing me all understanding, all truth, all words of knowledge. And the simplest way to describe it is all words of knowledge in the form of a planet. It was a massive, huge planet. I mean, the planet was gorgeous to be seen. But it was formed of words. And you could see the words on the surface, yet you could see through it. You could see words throughout the surface, and you could see the other side of the planet and the words that were formed on that side. It was just incredible. And it was not something like I was forming. It was just, I could see it as he was pointing at it.
Wow.
And then as I saw this image unfolding, I had this awareness of the divine light of God's presence emerge over the planet. And the way I've described this in the past for people is, if you remember, the Dutch boy, Dutch paints the image of the paint descending over the planet and consuming the planet.
Yeah.
What I saw was this light falling like in a liquid form, kind of like within the living temple. The light had substance to it. And the light descended upon the planet and began to consume the planet. So all the words would be consumed. The words are being consumed on the whole of this planet as it was pouring down like the coloring of the paint over the Dutch boy paints. And it was just consuming this planet. And all the words were dissipating to become one within the light. And then all the light coalesced at the bottom. Remember that it's solid in form. liquid in form actually, and then it drew to the bottom, and one drop came out of it and formed a teaching. The one teaching that covers all teachings. Seek me first in all things. Measure the fullness of my nature and the attributes within all things you see or encounter. So again, it was seek me first in all things, but then from that expanded this, I don't even know how to describe it, but it was like, if you want to describe it like a limitless spider web, I could see the nature of how all things of understanding connected, emerged, and returned to this one point of seeking Yahweh first. Seeking the whole presence of God first. The nature of the divine grace that is God within first. And it was just this constant return to that one reference point. So again, now I started to go back and measure this experience the weekend before with this woman. And then raising up each individual spiritual experience through that healing process, that prayer process. And then I started gaining deeper understandings, deeper awareness, deeper clarity in the order that it is. Yeshua saying, I speak to you of things of a spiritual nature, yet you don't even understand the things of the earth, when he was speaking to the disciples. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yes.
that's I speak to you of things of the spiritual nature. You don't even understand the things of the earth. So here we are. I'm searching this, and then I release it. And I say, God, I just trust you to bring in wisdom as you design, because I'm not pursuing the issue. God allowed me and graced me in such a way that I knew it was important not to dwell upon the experience, but to seek God, not the experience. That's when the wisdom would enter in. So this just kept unfolding and unfolding and unfolding. And not to get into it too deep right here, but what happened was it was magnifying daily. And as I was encountering people, I was seeing things that were going on within them spiritually as I had seen when I was in my youth, except now I had an understanding. That is, this person I looked at and I saw the spirit of abuse, spirit of sadness, spirit of depression, spirit of grief within them. I now knew what its origin was, which was the spiritual realm that Yeshua was teaching us. Because people had lost sight of the order of the heavens. And this is the reason they were walking on the periphery of God's power instead of being fully engaged within it.
Mm.
So as this began to unfold more deeply within me, and I was getting freed from the veils that I'd experienced through humanity and returned to the memory of what God had given us before we came here, it was becoming more and more clear of how we in humanity had completely forgotten. And how we in humanity continue to look at things from a human perspective. And that's so flawed and failed. The reality is we need to look at it from God's perspective.
Yes.
Because God is not limited to this little blue marble in the middle of space. God is limitless. Limitless in the creation of form and design and beauty and races and forms of creation. Yet we in human form were created in the image that is Yahweh, Yeshua, Abun. In other words, we are triune in nature. Spirit, flesh, body. There is perfect spirit that manifests before the presence of God in each and every moment of existence. But then there is the flesh. Humanity calls it the soul. When Yeshua was speaking to the word flesh, he spoke to the word soul. It's been mistranslated. So when he said that you live not of the flesh, and you set aside things of the body, that the fullness of the Spirit would be known within you, and the fullness of God's glory would be measured through every action. So what that is, here we are, spirit, flesh being soul, body. That's all that manifests within this heaven. Wait a minute. What was revealed to me within these remembrances, these visions of understanding and recognition, was the order of the heavens. 3 separate heavens. Covered as one, residing within. The highest of all heavens is that which Yahweh, Yeshua, and all heavenly hosts reside throughout and over and within all things of creation. That is the highest of all heavens. We will name that the first heaven right now. The lowest of all heavens is what manifests the body. Those things that can be physically seen, measured, quantified, measured by the instruments of man, quantified within thought or consideration. So there's the highest of all heavens, the lowest of all heavens, but then there's this heaven in between. The order of principalities, the spiritual realm. And without this understanding, people do not know the nature of what was going on. And as I was brought to these remembrances, stuff was stirring in me by word, meaning God's word in me, and then I was reminded that it was also stated in Scripture. Stephen, being stoned to death, he was a disciple of Yeshua, and he was stoned to death by the villagers. What I saw in this remembrance, vision, awareness, was Stephen being stoned to death, and then the crowd hearing his voice cry out from the heavens, Yahweh, forgive them, for they know not what they do, for it is the spirits within them that govern the nature of that which they do. The spirits within them that govern the nature of that which they do. Okay. Then in that remembrance with Yeshua, I'm drawn before the words of Paul. It is not I that do the things that I wish to do, for it is all the things that I do not wish to do that I do. It is the very nature of all the things that I do not wish to do that I do, and it is not I that do these things, but the spirits within me that govern the nature of my actions.
Yes.
Then I find out that's actually in Scripture. So,
it is.
And I'm like, well, I'm not a scripturally raised kind of guy. I didn't know that stuff. So,
well, the word was in you.
Exactly.
In you.
But God brought these forth in a way that was understandable and relatable to the nature of how he was waking me to the remembrance of the order of the heavens. So we have these three heavens, highest of all heavens, Yahweh's presence, Yeshua, and the manifestation of all purity within the heavenly hosts, the lowest of all heavens, the physical body of humanity, the spiritual influences or spiritual realm or order of principalities, meaning demonic. Wait a minute, we're triune. Yeshua said, live not of the flesh. All those things of the spiritual nature that do not align with the perfect nature of spirit, God's presence within us. The holy attributes of God are that which we're supposed to live by within our bodies. If we do not relinquish the things of the flesh, we will show a body of corruption. Now, what's happened within man's understanding within this, because they've lost sight of what body and flesh were, they actually thought the flesh was the muscles and sinew of the body. So they were thinking flesh, set aside things of the flesh and set aside the things of the body, and they didn't understand it was a delineation in that instruction.
Yeah, it's not taught that
it isn't.
way
It
at
isn't.
all.
So
No,
now
I've
if we
heard that.
understand this, we're looking at the order of the heavens. 3, 2, 1. Highest of all creation, the lowest experience of creation, spiritual influences within. So if we're not to live of the flesh, meaning not to live of the soul influences, and we are to set aside the desires of the body to live the fullness of the Spirit, so that the fullness of the divine attributes would be evidenced and known within our body, and God's glory would be known. Well, what if we live of the flesh? Our body will show evidence of sickness, disease, suffering, death, sadness, grief, depression, anxieties, all these things, because we would be living of the flesh. And our body would manifest the physical result of those spiritual influences.
Yeah, very interesting. And that is in itself revelation. Now that speaks truth to me. And again, that rises up. When I first got with Grace Healing and started reading the book, I had to read that a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
I had to get that. It's like, okay, God, help me to be awakened and have an awareness of this truth. Because I just received it as truth. I didn't question.
Right.
Now, I know there's a lot that question that.
Right. Because again, what you have to do, there's so much, what I've learned, like even in the instruction of the covenant and love, is God is presenting us answers that are so simple. However, we as humanity have engaged in so much intellectual thought that the only reasoning behind the book was to remove all the intellectual thought, to come back to the singular awareness that we were first created in the image of divinity, triune in nature. The triune nature of our form aligns with the order of the heavens. If we are evidencing something that is not pure, it is of the order of principalities, and it is manifesting within our bodies to be seen, released and healed, not held and perpetuated here, not held bound and captive here, because Yeshua came back into us and he said, set the captives free. Again, I am teaching you things of a spiritual nature, yet you don't even understand the things of the earth. He's telling us, set the captives free. These are the captives.
The spirits.
Exactly. The spiritual influences within that ground, they are the captives. They are captive to the order of principalities, the spiritual realm.
And it's not this rebuke and bind and cast out stuff.
Right, and that's the other part. What I found in me, not by my own design, not by my own power or strength, was all I felt was love.
Yes.
I felt love in me, not for the demonic that may have been presenting, but love for God. And in that love for God, when the demonic would present, it would hold no power. And we're going to stop this video at this point and continue on to the next edition, which is going to help you understand from an experience where I went to, and many of you have seen it. What was the movie with Linda Blair?
The Exorcist.
Yes, The Exorcist. I've been called into those settings to actually do exorcisms. And I'm going to get into an explanation so that you can understand when you actually see a body levitating or you see a body covering and casting out bile from within it, speaking with many voices, you'll see how love transforms that.
Yes.
And it does not become a battle, and it actually stops it instantaneously. There's no spectacle, no insanity, no movie to put in Hollywood, which is why it's not exciting to share.
Right. But at the
Because
same
it
time,
just ends.
this is the
And
big
God's
thing.
presence is known.
The big thing on TV right now are these
Right.
manifested ghosts and things.
Exactly.
Everybody looking for them. So this will be an interesting one to
Yes.
come into true understanding of the
Most
spiritual.
definitely.
So
Awesome. So
awesome.
we pray.
We breathe deep. Oriaviasi kolorora panyasiana moyareva kolariana vasi. Moshiri biotoriava kasianimian. We thank you, Yeshua, for this time as we have gathered once again in great revelation of things of truth, of the word that is within us, of those that are gathered into hearing as this voice that rings truth, your grace healing, as your brother releases these things of truth to those that are listening, those that are seeking, your precious children, and they are your children. And we thank you for this. We thank you for the time. We thank you for using us for your glory, to extend that love to all that you bring across our path and those that you bring to Grace Healing in these videos to impact truth of your love. It's all about your love.
Yes.
So we thank you, we praise you. Of all that have gathered, may they have a wonderful and awesome day until we meet together again to hear more of the truth being revealed and manifested not only upon the earth but in your individuals, so they can move and operate, be healed, delivered, and set free of any things of past, present. We just thank you, we praise you, in your most precious holy name.
Yarvi Elohim etuim en Yeshua abun sol kelion terebishnahavan. And a brief instruction. You hear me say Yarvi Keturia Messiah Yeshua abun. It is Yahweh Elohim, our God and Creator, etu, manifested at Yeshua's presence to reveal the life-giving breath of His Spirit within us. Abun. Have an amazing day. We will connect with you very soon.
We
and
love you.
Follow up on the next part of this.
Yes.
Blessings in all you do.
Bye-bye.
We love you
Next time.
dearly. Yeah.